Hello, my name is Jeff Turco. I stand before you as a candidate to be your next state representative in the March 2nd Democratic primary. I want to take a few minutes of your time to talk to you about my campaign and my candidacy and why I'm asking for your vote to be your next state representative on March 2nd. Before doing so, I'd like to thank our friends at WCAT for the opportunity to speak to you directly, the people of Winthrop. A quick background on myself. I attended the university and graduated from the University of Massachusetts at Amherst with a degree in history. I went to Quinnipiac University School of Law, graduated cum laude, and attended Trinity College in Dublin, Ireland while I was in law school as part of an international program. I previously served as the elected member of the Democratic State Committee representing this district, the Suffolk and Middlesex district, and I did that for a couple of terms before I relinquished the seat voluntarily and then went on and served for 2 years as the town council president here in Winthrop. As a member of the town council, I also served, of course, on our school committee. Why am I running? Many people have asked me that as I've gone door to door, and it's a simple answer. You know, once somebody said to me, although benevolent men cannot do all the good they would, the duty is to do all the good they can. I believe that with my whole fiber and my whole being. I think we need to step up as citizens and serve our community. I sit at dinner every night with my wife and my children, and I talk to them, and we go over the events of the day, and we talk about the good, the bad, the ugly that takes place every day on the news and in our communities. And I tell them that they have an obligation as citizens to step up and serve their community and try to make things better when they get older. Because if they don't do it, who will? And so that's why I'm running for state representative, because I believe I have an obligation to use my talents to help our communities, Revere and Winthrop, to serve you better. And so I look forward to the opportunity to talk to you specifically about some issues that I've talked about in this campaign so far. First and foremost, substance use disorder and mental illness. For an entirety of my professional life, I've been surrounded by this issue. I ran a prison for 5 years at the Worcester County Sheriff's Office. As the Special Sheriff of Worcester County, I ran a facility that was built for 788 inmates. On a given day, it held 1,600 people. When we looked at our population, approximately 80% of our population were in prison or being detained for one or two reasons: substance use disorder or mental illness. We have an obligation as a community and as a Commonwealth to spend our money more wisely and more efficiently. It makes no sense to continue to lock up people that need assistance, especially when every single member of our community, I dare say, knows somebody that's been afflicted with either mental health problems, mental illness, or substance use disorder. It's been the dirty little secret of our communities for years. But as we move forward in society today, it seems like more and more people are more comfortable talking about it. I myself have had to do that as well during this campaign. It's not always easy to talk about your loss and the struggles that members of your family have, but it's important, because it's important to let people in this community know that I understand what you go through. I understand the hurt and the pain of losing siblings or losing family members because of this. And I pledge to you that it's not just an election year discussion. It's something that I believe in. And it's something that I'm going to work to make sure that the Commonwealth puts in place a holistic approach to deal with this issue. When I first announced I was running, I reached out to a friend of mine from Revere, a childhood friend, and he said, you know, Jeff, I'm in recovery, and I want to talk to you about it. And I said, okay, let's talk. So he said, I'm in recovery, I'm married, I have 2 children, and if I didn't have a family home to go to, where would I live? How would somebody that's in recovery like myself be able to afford rent in Revere, Winthrop, or in his words, even Lynn? The rents are crazy, they're out of control, and so when you have somebody that's struggling to get their life in order, and you're asking them to have hope, because without hope, they have nothing, and it leads them right back to the despair that leads them to substance use disorder. And so we need to come up with a holistic approach that helps people when they're dealing with mental illness and they're dealing with substance use disorder, to have a holistic approach that will address not just the treatment piece of this, but also the housing piece of it as well. I don't have all the answers. I certainly don't. But I pledge to you that I'll work with every community leader across the Commonwealth that's willing to give ideas, to give hope to people so that we can put together a plan and make the Commonwealth the leader in this effort. Second issue is education. Education is the great equalizer. If we don't give kids the opportunity to learn at a young age and demand high standards and high accountability so that our kids can be first and foremost in the nation in education, then we do them a disservice and an injustice. I pledge to work with all parties involved to improve our education, to fully fund the Educational Opportunity Act, which is a 7-year commitment the Commonwealth made under Speaker DeLeo's leadership, and now is threatened by the pandemic. But I pledge to work with all parties involved to make sure we meet our obligation to fully fund public education and to give kids the opportunity and the funding that they need to succeed. Vocational education. Not every child needs to go to college. Not every child should go to college. During my lifetime, we've gone from the fact that a small number of people would go to college to most people. You can't go to a high school graduation today without hearing, we're proud to announce that 85% of our student population is going to high school, going to a 4-year college. Implicit in that is those 15% of the kids that aren't going to a 4-year college are somehow less successful. I don't believe that to be true, and I think we need to do a better job of communicating that it's okay to be a plumber, an electrician, a tradesman, the very people that I grew up living next to, that knew how to provide for their family and could make a good living and have a respectable job. It's okay to do that, and we need to work to encourage that. Anybody in this community needs to try to hire a plumber, an electrician in the last few months. They're so busy you can't hire them. And so I think it took me 3 months to get an electrician to look at a plug. So I think that vocational education is something that we need, not just at the vocational school, but I think we need to work to see if we can get the building trades unions to work with our high schools on a pilot program to try to give kids the opportunity while they're in high school to go into an apprentice program so that we can start off right rather than graduating from, say, Boston University College of Basic Studies owing almost $400,000 after a 4-year program. Public safety. The men and women that serve our community in the fire service, in the police service, in the correctional service are owed a debt of gratitude. We are not Minnesota. The brave men and women of this community put their lives on the line every day to make us safer. Yes, there are problems in law enforcement and public safety, but with the leadership and dedication, particularly in our community of Chief Delahanty and Chief Flanagan, we have some of the best and most well-trained firemen and police officers around the Commonwealth. And we ought to thank them for their good work that they do every day and not vilify them. I was at a recent Revere Teachers Association forum, and somebody, a member of the audience, asked the question, how can you say you support leaving the racist Revere police officers in our schools? I fundamentally reject the idea that our police officers are racist and our police department are racist. Again, I think every day these people put their lives on the line, and when they make a mistake, we need to make sure they're held account, but we ought not to paint them with a broad brush and attack them because of what's happened in Minnesota and elsewhere. As I said earlier, Bob DeLeo and Bob Travellini have protected and served this community for the last 20 years as elected leaders and reaching the highest echelons of the House and of the Senate. But now we're at an opportunity to elect someone new that can go in and can fight for you every day. During this campaign, I've attempted to get feedback from you as to how you want me to represent you, the issues that you believe are important. And I've formulated my agenda and my beliefs on programs of what needed to be addressed, in large part based on the feedback you've given me. I want to thank you for taking the opportunity to talk to me during this campaign. I want to thank you for your feedback. I want to thank you for your confidence. I want to thank you for your support. I've been overwhelmed by the kindness of people, whether it's while I wave to them in the morning on the corner, or whether I talk to them on the phone or at a door-to-door visit. It's truly humbling to hear the stories of citizens of our community and how they want to make our community better. I want to close with two comments. One sort of nice story that's probably the nicest thing that's happened to me in this campaign. I just think it's worthy of support, worthy of sharing with you. I'm a parishioner at St. John's. My wife and my children go there, St. John's Catholic Church. And there's a couple who will remain nameless that we see all the time. And the husband came up to my wife and said, I need help registering to vote. I just became a citizen, and I want my first vote to be for your husband. And I want you to know that I mean, it's so overwhelming that someone would approach my wife and talk like that and make it such a personal thing for them that their very first vote will be for me. And I just can't tell you the burden that places on me to go out and advocate and fight for the people of this community and make that person proud that their very first vote as an American citizen was for me. And I promise you every day as your state representative, if I'm successful, that I will fight for you, the people of this community. Finally, I want to thank my wife, Melissa, my kids, Rosario, Mary, Joseph, Dominic, Grace, and Mateo. They've sacrificed during this campaign. The late dinners, the missed Saturday breakfasts have been difficult on them, but fortunately it's a quick race and it's only a few months. And so I thank them for their sacrifice. I thank them for being out there with me holding signs on Saturdays. I thank them for making phone calls and writing out cards to voters. It really is a family affair. And so I want to urge you tonight or today to go to turcoforrep.com if you'd like to get more information about my campaign. Again, turcoforrep.com. The election is March 2nd. I ask for your vote. I ask for your continued support. If you have questions or you'd like to talk to me, my cell phone is 508-450-8843. And I'd be happy to take your call and happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. I pledge you my full confidence and support and efforts on your behalf to make you proud of me as your next state representative. Thank you.